When I got into tattooing, I wanted to blur the line between conceptual modern art and tattooing. And I wanted to participate because clearly the movement had been started before me, but I wanted to be one of the artists that would basically blur the line between art and tattooing and help the mass public to view tattooing as an art form on its own.
Welcome to the Artful Dollar Podcast. I have a guest that I'm super excited to share with you all. We have Lewis Black-Symmetry. He is a tattooer out in Portugal right now, but he's been all over Paris and all over Europe. I was particularly drawn to the work he's doing, not just because of his technical proficiency in large-scale geometric tattooing, but he is also an educator, and I just saw him as someone that has clearly such a high standard for quality, and not just the work that he puts out, but the content that he puts out. And I really wanted to share his story and learn a little bit from him, and invite him to the podcast. So Lewis, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure. Thank you for giving me the space to share a little bit more about my projects, and thank you for what you shared about my work. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We just spent the past 15, 20 minutes, getting organized for the podcast. And I don't know you well, but I get to see like the level of technical proficiency applies to every area of your life, doesn't it?
Yep.
Like,
it's a blessing.
You seem like the person that lives by the way you do one thing is the way you do everything.
Yes. And it's a blessing and a curse, to be honest. You can ask my videographer right there that it's definitely not easy for anyone to catch on that, because it's, everything has to be organized and clean and perfect and this and that. But it's been, let's say, very much of a spiritual journey this year with this online course more than anything for me. Creating, online content and videos, and it's such a deep rabbit hole, and there's no end to how more you can edit something and how more perfect you can make something. So at some point you just have to let go of being such a picky perfectionist of like right now I see when we set up there is a reflection on the glass window, and I was like, should we cover, should we not? I
was tattooing this guy who I knew from, he went to high school with my brother. He's like this stoner metal kid. And we were doing an eyeball with a buzzsaw blade slicing in half on his arm, something like that. And I was tattooing, and we were almost done, and I was being a perfectionist about it. And he's like, man, like the opposite of perfect is done. And I was like, you're right. It's such a profound wisdom coming from this, metal. It was just really funny. But yeah, the opposite of perfect is done.
Or actually the perfection is that it's done, because you can't just...
Is it though? It's almost a paradox.
Yeah, it is the paradox. But at the same time, if, we accept everything as it is, then when it's done, it's perfect on its own, because otherwise we're making it imperfect by... So anyway, It can be seen on both sides, but it's interesting.
On both sides.
And at some point, you just have to, for my mojo for this year compared to last year is spending more time creating and focusing onto the content itself as in the information itself, sharing more information without being so attached to how it necessarily looks, but just give more and something a little bit more real and direct, rather than just making it so perfectly, if you check my online course, everything is
you
like
you gotta leave a little
bit
of that raw feeling in there, that rawness. You know?
which again, that is going to be a big. That's what I spoke with the spiritual journey, is like this journey of acceptance, that not everything is has to be 100% perfect, but. Yeah, sharing more without being so attached to how it looks. And I care about how it looks. I think it's also very important when you're a tattoo artist at a certain level. I believe, it's only my opinion, but I believe that on a subconscious level, your clients that will check your Instagram, and then they will go to your website, and then they will go through the emailing process and see how you communicate with them and how you give them all the information. It all creates an environment of trust, that helps them to relax and surrender a little bit more. And, you know, when we were tattooing someone, especially when we were covering their entire bodies or like very large scale pieces, what you need is trust. The biggest currency there is, you know, it's not the time, it's not the money, it's not the energy, it's the trust. You know, that's what is the biggest factor in the transaction on both sides, you know. So, you know, they trust me with their bodies and I trust them to wear my work and to trust, you know, my artistic vision. So,
but it's not just in the work, is what I'm hearing you say.
I mean, the work
it's
is
all the way through. It's every step of the process.
So the work is the pinnacle. Is like the external manifestation of the result. But then there is everything that comes before. And again, what comes before, and this is a big thing that I teach and I speak about during the workshops, is when you have a client, and most of my clients, not most, all of my clients are foreigners. I don't tattoo, since I moved here in Portugal, I haven't tattooed a Portuguese person, actually one, and he was a friend. But beside that, no Portuguese clients. When I was in Paris,
travel from all over the world to come.
Yeah. Even when I was in Paris, I had like maybe 20%. At the end of my 7 years in Paris, I had 20%. Or in Switzerland, the same. Or when I was in Switzerland, I always had 80% foreigners. Since I moved to Lisbon, it's 100% foreigners.
Gotcha.
So these foreigners travel from Singapore, from Australia, from, you know, Brazil, the US, mostly the US, the UK, many other places in Europe, some from Africa as well. So it's amazing. Wow. I love that and I feel very honored. But what is important is that these people, these clients, they never met me. They have seen my work online. They've now recently, for the last year and a half, seen videos of me speaking online. But before that, for the last, 11 years prior in my career, they've never seen barely any, sometimes photos of me, clearly no videos. And they had to, to make a huge leap of faith to come from, let's say, the US, take a flight, go to the other side of the world to get, 4 consecutive days tattoo booked in with someone they've never met. And that belief, and this is what I believe is very primordial, is to create all of these steps that, you on your Instagram, on your, as I said, on your website, on your emailing, so they can relax a little bit more and already have a sense that you have it figured out. And that it's not your first rodeo, and they can just, smoothly.
And when a tattoo artist says, Venmo me a deposit and put a sushi emoji in there so that it doesn't look like a business transaction, I feel like that doesn't come off as this person has it all together. They have it all figured out.
Yeah, I don't do that, but I've never heard of it. But,
it's a
for me,
common
it goes
thing
as a business transaction, but I understand the point. But
the opposite.
I understand your point. Well, for sure. But that also is, like the system through which people send me deposits. Everything looks extremely legit. It goes to my company. It's not my personal name. It's the name of my company. So it's like, all of these little details. Or making it look not sketchy, because that's a business, in the end. Like, I've been running a business, and a lot of tattoo artists, like, we were all running a business in the end. And our portfolio, our work, our, like, everything, this is the face of a company. It's not back in the days, like, just the one-to-one, like, okay, I tattoo in, and it was a lot more sketchy.
Let's just dive into the work that you do. I'd really love to learn a little bit more about the course, about the, I think one of the reasons I was really excited to have you on is the transition from just tattooing. Like, why did you decide to also create a course to teach? What was that transition like for you?
So there's been a lot of factors that played a role in that. First and foremost, it's not new. The first time I started my first bodysuit was 11 years ago. I had been tattooing for a year and a half professionally, and I had my first bodysuit that didn't start as a bodysuit. We started it more gradually, and we built it up over the years.
Did you know from the beginning that you wanted to do full bodysuits? Like that was the goal from day one?
Yeah. So let's start at the beginning.
Great. Let's start at the beginning.
Yeah. When I got it, and then I'll transition to how the course, where the idea emerged and so on. So at the beginning, when I got into tattooing, and it's my personality, I'm all or nothing. It's the way I am in everything I do. I do it with my full commitment, and I want to go to the end and the depth of everything I do. That's part of my core. So whether I do a course or whether I do tattoos or whatever, I'll just go as far as I can. So when I got into tattooing, since the very, very beginning, I didn't want to just do tattoos. It never interested me. I don't necessarily, and it's gonna sound very paradoxical, and just take it with a pinch of salt. And there's one thing you will need to know about me is that I'm very, very honest. And sometimes I speak too much. But basically, I don't necessarily like tattooing. Like the action of tattooing, I find it extremely repetitive. It's long. I'm hurting people, and that has a heavy energy for me. Like, of course, you're transforming their body, you're making them so, feel more confident about their own self, their body, you're transforming their image, and that is it's very, very beautiful. But that's, let's say, the end result. The process itself, when it doesn't, like the creative process, which is the first 10% of a bodysuit, let's say, the first 8 days of a bodysuit, maybe 10, you're conceptualizing, you're designing, my brain is activated, I'm happy, there's a lot of decision to take. Great, I love that part of the process. But from session number 10 to session number 50 or 45, you have all of these hours spent, like just fitting in. Why hurting someone? I don't like that part of the process. Some people do, I don't. I never did. But at the same time, but at the same time, without that part of the process, you don't get to have the result, which is also the beauty that is linked to it, because, it's like there's two sides of a coin, but it's all the same.
I think the beauty in life is always in the paradox. Yes, and I think we have a hard time accepting paradox as humans. We want everything to fit into either this or that. And embracing paradox, I actually found to be like the most beautiful part of life.
I agree. And that's what we spoke at the beginning with this paradox of like, how much perfect does it have to be? This is the thing, where you draw the line and how you can just accept everything as it is. So, but when I started tattooing again, I didn't want to just do more like just tattoos. I wanted to make a difference. That's what I wanted to do. And I wanted to make, I was about to say not on the ego level, but I think there was a lot of ego involved. Sure. But working on that. But it's clearly I wanted to be known. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted, my work to be remembered. And no matter what I will do next, whether it's the course or all of the other projects, the artworks that I've been doing, I just want to make a difference. I just don't want to be one of many. And that's, again, you can see it as, super arrogant and cocky, or you can see it as just ambition and vision, and that's just what I have in me. There's
nothing wrong with that either. And I think people have this idea that the ego is this bad thing, that you should just get rid of the ego. That's not the case. It's wearing your ego like a loose shawl over you. You're not so tightly bound by the ego. Having that kind of, again, paradoxical relationship where there's this drive, this ambition, but also some humility in understanding that we are just humans after all. We are flawed human beings. It's okay,
Yeah, I don't like saying that we are flawed human beings, but I understand your point. I like to say that we were perfectly imperfect, and but yeah,
but yes,
we're doing our best, and I think that's what we will get to after that. A topic I want to talk to you about. We mentioned that we will speak about that, which is like what is the tattooing industry, how they view online courses and so on. We're just all doing our best. So starting from that point at the beginning, back to the beginning, I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to add something. I just didn't want, that there is tattooing, which is an amazing craft and it's so complete on its own. And then there is few tattooists there is a lot of tattooists that are putting the string up, that are doing things that the next level, doing beautiful bodysuit. I mean, there's so many names, you can start with Philippe Lou, for example,
of course,
just took the Japanese concept of the bodysuit, just scaled it up, made it more somehow European as well. And then like Leo Zulieta, who took the tribal sleeves and then just, also created all of these movements with the spiky tribal thing in the 90s, 2000s.
People that are really contributing to the evolution of tattooing. They're expanding it. Yeah.
My signature since the beginning was symmetry. I loved symmetry. I believe that symmetry is it's very personal, but personally, I believe this is what enhanced the body shape the most. The body being symmetrical, somewhat symmetrical on its own, I like the idea of creating this type of superhero armor look, enhancing the body's shape, reworking, redefining the body shape by, cutting the waistline, creating a V shape on the back, creating a more galbed buttocks, creating shoulders, arms, forearms, all of these parts, you're working with the anatomy, again, that is on the external visual factor is it's symmetrical. Inside, our organs are not symmetrical, but from the outside, we're fairly symmetrical. So I wanted to, since the beginning, really enhance that.
Yeah.
And I had not seen back then, and maybe there was more in the tribal, Maori, Polynesian, full bodysuit that were symmetrical, but it had not been done on the full body scale. There's been artists that were, Zedley Head, Matt Black, that tattooed me extensively, Thomas, Hua Wong, they were already doing symmetrical pieces, so it's not something that I invented, but I wanted to bring it further and create this perfect, seamless symmetry, not from just a back piece or leg pieces or chest pieces, but the whole body. And how I wanted to use the philosophy of the Japanese bodysuits that were, working on the entire surface of the body by one artist, not tattooing the visible parts, the hands, the neck, the feet, making it somewhat, and again, take it with a pinch of salt, but somewhat more classy, not visually too much out there, having the ability to be able to just, cover yourself and we don't see any of the tattoos, so it's not provocative in a certain way, again, pinch of salt, but it's not too much out there. And that was my vision. I have done necks, hands on some other clients, but when it comes to my bodysuits, personally, my artistic vision, and we speak about that a lot with my clients, I do not want to tattoo their hands or their neck or their face or their head, because then personally, again, it's my artistic vision, I believe it would become too much out there a little bit, and then it will lose this, again, as I use the term classy, but it's not necessarily it can be badly connotated, but more I like to keep it private. I like to keep it more intimate. I like
There's
to keep it
a power in restraint. I
agree.
I think something that I heard that really changed my tattooing was it matters almost more where you don't tattoo than where you do tattoo in a piece. Yeah.
100%.
Again, with a grain of salt, but that really impacted my work, especially I was doing black work, fine line illustrative black work, where I chose not to tattoo was more important to me than where I chose to tattoo.
100%. That yes, for sure. And then with the bodysuits, this is the mojo, this is what I have in mind, this is the idea of basically creating the similar idea of the Japanese bodysuit, the concept of and the philosophy behind getting tattooed by a single artist, almost as a meditative type of journey. It's very private, it's one-on-one, there's never anyone else in the studio. It's very relaxed. The tattooing area is behind the glass wall on the other room there. It feels like a cocoon. It's like a separate room in the studio, and very good sound system, creating everything that is...
What music do you listen to?
Sorry, what?
What's the music?
If anyone has Spotify, you can type Black-Symmetry, and you will find a playlist called Galactica. Galactica is my baby. It's one of my best art pieces that I've been creating for, like 10 years maybe.
I love
9
it.
years. I've worked on it extensively. I think it's 16 hours, and it's because I've stopped working on it a few years ago. But I still add, like every month I will add a track or two. Like this month I added maybe 3.
Amazing.
Always add more. So that is exactly what I listen to. It's long enough to do 2-3 days of work without really listening to the same track. And then other playlists you will have. I listen right now another one that I created called Om. So it's more like mantras, a lot of mantras, a lot of frequency. We listen to a lot of frequency. There is some, if you also check on my YouTube music, or YouTube, I think you can access it in the playlist of YouTube. There is one called Healing. And then you will have in some bhajans that I listen to, some mantras and a lot of frequency. So the music we listen to is extremely introspective, meditative, like esoteric, kind of like atmospheric, which helps, in my opinion, to put them into a state of relaxation that we wouldn't be able to get to if there was stressful music. Again, that's a personal that's a personal choice. I know, and we speak about that during the workshops. Some people love listening to heavy metal. For me, I mean, not only I don't like or listen to heavy metal in general, I think it's just too violent for me and stressful. But bringing this into tattooing session, which is already a very stressful act, is just like overwhelming, in my opinion. Some people will think that it really helps them to get over the pain and helps them to transcend all of that. Fine, there is always for that, and I think it fits also with some type of environment and also
just
iconography.
Not the experience that you create. That's all. Yeah.
Exactly. So the experience I create, and therefore the clients that I attract, because they again see from now we can add tracks on Instagram. Before we couldn't. So people understand a little bit more now of the type of music that you choose, because this is the type of music you add to your social profiles. But basically things that are calm, clean, and relaxing. And I think it's just because it helps me to also get in the... Personally, it helps me to get in the zone. That's what I prefer to listen to. That's what I listen to at home. As you said at the beginning, what I listen to at home, or like, it's not just what I do in tattooing. It's everything. It's in my home. I listen to the exact same music at home that I listen in the studio. If I'm not...
You are the definition of the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. I can see
and I'm
it.
also... I don't necessarily like change. I like to be... doing the same thing. So this music again.
I've never met a tattoo artist that likes change. By the way, I think all tattoo artists seem to not like change.
Yeah. Everything that works, and is good, And then so with the music, this is what we listen to. But
so apparently 80% of listeners have not left a review or subscribed. And I'm going to get right back to the podcast in just a second. But if you have found this episode helpful and you think that other people would benefit from listening, then all I ask in return is please just leave a quick review and subscribe. It'll take just 1 minute, and it might help other tattooers and other artists find this podcast and help them out. So please, it would mean the world to me, and it might actually make a difference for someone else. Thanks.
Coming back to
our journey, right? We're tattooing, we're doing bodysuits.
Yeah, so coming back to that, this very personal, intimate relationship that I create with my client, for me, this is what prevails more than the tattooing itself. This is the relationship I build with my clients. This is this one-on-one relationship. And I'll say two things that is not coming from me, but it's from my client. One of them flew from behind. I've been tattooing him in Paris already years ago. And again, I'm just sharing what he shared that I feel is important in order to understand a little bit more of the dynamic that I create with my clients, but it's not in order to compare anything. I think everything is welcomed, and we have to accept everyone's journey, but I'm just sharing through my own experience. But what that client said is that because I've tattooed his back years ago in Paris, and then we've extended the piece later on. So in the meantime, he got tattooed by a lot of different artists around the world. Very good artist. He has a very good choice in the artist he's choosing for his body. But he's probably got tattooed by 6 or 7 other artists in between. And then he told me the big difference I've seen, Lewis, since I got into this journey of traveling more and meeting more artists, is that with you, I feel like it's more personal. Although I don't know you, I haven't seen you in 5 years, but I feel like if I reach out and I send you a text, you will get back to me. With the other artists, I always felt like there was a distance. There was like a gap and somewhat of more of a, I don't want to say a wall, but more, I'm the artist, you're the client. Mm-hmm. Personally, and it's probably, or most likely because I have so few clients, because per year, maybe I have 5, 6, 10 clients, that's it. I don't need more, and I've never needed a lot of clients. And these clients, they come back, because when you're doing a bodysuit and you're doing them over 4 years, they come back every 3 months. So you have always this turnover of clients. So maybe over my career, at the beginning I was doing smaller pieces, but let's say a turnover of 15 to 20 clients a year. And again, many of them, maybe half of them, all repeated itself throughout the years. So I don't have a lot, which allows me to be very, very private with them. They always have my private phone number. They can text me at any time on WhatsApp, and I invite this, and I text them, and yesterday, one of my clients on whom I've done a chest, a back first, and now I've done the headpiece, Oblio, and it's also part of the online course. We filmed the whole process of how I stencil this. We texted, we sent each other voice messages about how you are and this and that, catching up, speaking. And I speak, of course, I can't speak to everyone all the time because I don't really spend a lot of time on the phone, but I really like to stay connected with all of my clients. And I think this is because I don't tattoo a lot. So that gives me this, I don't tattoo a lot of people, sorry, I tattoo a lot, not a lot of people. But it gives me this more personal thing. And I also believe that it shows the investment that I have. I really care about them more than just the tattoo. Of course, it's just, technically they're clients and I'm the artist. But I don't like to have this client-to-artist relationship. We're more on the same level. Yes, there is a monetary exchange. Yes, there is a creative exchange. But beside that, I like to consider them as, friends and equals. And I believe that it changes a lot the dynamic that I have with my clients. And it really makes them want to come back. Is this level of intimacy and engagement that makes them want to return, I don't want to say home, but, to return to the studio. And this is...
I even think home is like a good... They feel like there is a home in experiencing being with you in your space. I could see
100%, 100%. And again, we speak a lot about that during the workshops too. It goes as far as when they arrive, they have a bathrobe, so there's always a long fluffy bathrobe. There's pairs of slippers, there's a fridge, there's things to cook. We eat together. When they arrive, they take off their shoes, they put slippers. When they were doing a large piece, for example, like a back or a chest, it's hard for them to put a t-shirt back on or pant back on because it hurts during breaks and that. So they
Can I
cover
ask
them with
a question that maybe some people are wondering? What does one of these bodysuits usually cost? If it takes 4 years, I'm curious. Do you know is there a scale, a range? If someone said, I want to get a bodysuit, what type of an investment am I looking at?
It's a lot of money. So if you have a number in mind, just multiply it by maybe 4, and then you will get to that number. It's a lot of money. It's a big investment. It's about that, yeah. It's a lot more investment in terms of time, energy, traveling, taking days off from work, healing. It's not even just the monetary investment. I respect and bow to them unconditionally, because personally I would not go. I mean, yes, I would, because it looks so nice, but it's a big thing, and I really
You have
respect
so
that.
much respect for them, not just for the financial investment, but the time, the commitment, the energy. Like you said, the healing. They travel to you, and then they have to go and heal for weeks, and then come back. And yeah,
They're warriors. Like
they're warriors.
they have my ultimate respect, and that's why I care about them so much, because I know what it takes to endure that. But I also don't know what it takes to endure that getting tattooed by me, per se, because I'm fast and heavy-handed, kind of, but I also know how to. It's like a dance, like sometimes you're a little bit heavy-handed because you have to go a little bit faster. But if I'm very gentle at the same time, some artists are a little bit more unapologetic. It hurts, just suck it up. I am very gentle in the sense of like, it's a dance, some days we do more work, some days we do less, some days we finish later, sometimes we finish earlier, some days I'm very, very, very attentive to their well-being. I was not always. At the beginning of my career, I was younger, I was a little bit less probably gentle and soft, and maybe have had a little bit less compassion as well. And it's also because I got tattooed in a space where there was no compassion, old school, just take it like a man,
Right. And you learned that behavior.
Yeah, so you repeat that as being, the norm to you, but over the years, and the more I isolated myself in my own way of working as well, because I've always been working in a private environment, I've always been working on my own. But at the beginning, I was still getting tattooed. I was somewhat spending time in like once a year.
Of the 12 years of professional tattooing, how much of that has been spent in your own private studio?
12 years.
Wow.
I've never worked in a shop. I've only done one guest spot at Rock of Ages.
Do you feel like you've missed something? Because I hear a lot of artists say, oh, the best way to grow as an artist is to work around other tattoo artists. That was never a concern, or do you feel like you missed something out? I don't think you did anything right or wrong. I don't view it that way, but
I mean, again, we can only judge based on the portfolio. If you look at my portfolio,
100%, yeah.
Did I miss out something?
While some people say that, it's not the truth. I think so many people feel like they know the rules. There's a right way and a wrong way, and I'm like, who made up these rules? Nobody.
Yeah.
You heard it from someone else, but there's no. The president of tattooing said that. No, there's no one.
Yeah, I think it really depends on what you want to get out of tattooing. It really depends on the type of portfolio you want to create.
Yeah.
When I got into tattooing, personally, what I liked about tattooing as well was the fact that I could be traveling and working at the same time. So I had the fantasy when I was young, I got into tattooing, I was 20. So got first interested, in tattooing when I was 20, got my first tattoo at 17, but always drew a lot. People were asking me when I was 17, 15, 16, oh, can you draw my tattoo? I was like, no, I don't want to. Oh, you should be a tattoo artist. I was like, no, I'm never going to be a tattoo artist. I went to art school. I studied graphic design. I had different ambition. Tattooing fell off my, on my head. And we can go back to at the beginning of my career a little bit after, but it fell on my shoulders, and I just went so deep inside just because that's my personality as well. I wanted to go to the bottom of that, but my initial desire was to work as a visual art, as an artist, and I do a lot, and you can still see some mural, or you just go on my Instagram and you will go scroll down and you will see some of the art pieces I've done, illustrations. And I still crave that. That's still my biggest calling, is to make art that is, again, some people would argue that what I'm doing on the bodies is also art, and that was my intention. When I got into tattooing, I wanted to blur the line between conceptual, contemporary art, modern art, and tattooing. And I wanted to participate because clearly the movement had been started before me, but I wanted to be one of the artists that would basically blur the line between art and tattooing and help the mass public to view tattooing as an art form on its own. And it's still frowned upon in many, many parts of our society. You can still feel like, oh, a tattoo is a tattoo. Art is art. That's very different. And they really don't like connect the two together. And they don't necessarily think that tattoos can be art. If you look at my work on a purely conceptual level, like let's say you put a bodysuit standing naked or just underwear, just let's say standing naked in the middle of an art gallery, and you have 8 of them, can't you have the openness to consider them as a sculpture?
I mean,
maybe, you know,
if
like,
a banana duct taped to a wall could be art, I don't see why what you're doing would not be considered
exactly. So
art.
that dialogue, was something that turned me on at the beginning. I was like, okay, I wanna really see how this can play together. But I still have the desire, and this is also why, and we'll get back to that after, but why I created the online course. My ultimate wish is to make more art. Like I have so many art pieces that I've been creating, conceptualizing over the years in my head that I want to do and that I will do over the next years.
So then why do the online course?
Because, and then we go straight to it. But
let's go straight to it.
You need to generate passive income. That's it. You know, like I've done over my career, I will tattoo for 3 months. I will create art for 2 months. I will tattoo for 3 months. I will create art for 2 months, but it's not sustainable. And then you burn out very fast because then there's nothing that comes without you actively working. And the type of art pieces I want to create are extremely expensive. The ones that are on the walls here, they're using a lot of technologies like laser cut, CNC, industrial laser cut, cutting metals, CNC on woods, like burning, It's extremely time consuming. Each piece, even this table I built, like I've done a lot of furniture last year. They're all very expensive. And then you have to pay people in order to create that. So you asked at the beginning why I created the online course. And I said there is few reasons to it. First of all, and I will go reconnect the dot, when I started tattooing, and I did my first bodysuit after I had been tattooing, again, as I said, like very early on in my career, maybe a year and a half into tattooing professionally, I started this bodysuit, and I saw so many artists asking me on social media, how do you stencil your thing? Like, I remember very, very early on, like back in the days, it was like, again, 12 plus years ago, they were like, how do you stencil? How do you do the neck wraparounds? How do you do your forearm wraparounds? How do you do the full back, like the connecting? How do you make it so symmetrical? So I felt like that information was not only valuable for them to know, for the artist, in order for them to grow, but it was also valuable for me to use as a source of, again, passive income. So then I could be tattooing a little bit less and focusing more onto creating the art that I want to create. So it was somewhat of a business strategy that I've created in my head, again, 10 years ago, because that goes back to the very, very, very beginning of my career. Like everyone asked me, like, how do you do it? I was like, well, one day I will teach you. But I was not ready to step into the shoe of a teacher. I wanted to keep developing myself as well, develop all of the little tricks that took years and years and years of, trial and error and so on. And also because I was focused on art back then. I was making more art when I was in Paris. When I moved to Portugal, and one of the reasons why I moved to Portugal actually was to create this course, because I wanted to dedicate more time into producing the course. I knew it would take it took a year and a half. I thought it would take 6 months, but it took a lot more time, a lot more money. It's probably just my time, over 1,000 hours. And then I had 5 people helping me working on that. I had the web designer who was absolutely amazing, who created the whole website. Then, it's just because of the level of perfection that I wanted this course to be at, it just took forever, basically.
And when you say this course, so I know you do in-person education, right?
Yes.
Where people come to you. So, but we're talking about the online course. Is this going to be an online pre-recorded course, or is this live, coach? Is this live with you, or is it just pre-recorded?
No, It's everything is recording in the studio. It has nothing to do with the workshops. The workshops are the workshops. The online course is the online course.
Okay.
Of course, the information is similar because this, like a part of the workshops. We are working 3 days, 3 full days from morning to evening. During this workshop, the main focus was the stencil. Yet, I believe it was still 50% of the workshops. After that, we had maybe 30% of psychology, talking to your client, the environment, everything that we were slightly touching with you now today, like everything that is coming before, during, and after the tattoo, the relationships, how you can make them come back, how you can make them trust you, which, again, I can teach you how to place a very large stenciling, I can teach you how to make a bodysuit, but if I don't teach you how to find the clients for you to create a bodysuit on, then what I'm teaching you is just you're not going to be able to apply it yourself. And I receive so many messages, I would say maybe not every week, but like I'm not going to say who, but one of the artists last week, like 5 days ago, texted me, I'm starting my second bodysuit. Thank you so much. Wow. If it hasn't been for you, I wouldn't be able to do that. And that's the thing, like I make them feel like they also can do it. And I give them my own experience and my tools that help me to do that, and that's my biggest passion, I would say, out of these workshops, is that they can apply the information into their own work. Giving the information, it's one thing and it's great, and thank you came to the studio, and I'm not saying that everyone can, at the same level, apply the same information. Out of the 100 artists who came last year, maybe for 50 it was extremely transformational and amazing, and they can really apply the work. Maybe for 30, it was just, all right, I can't apply it to my work, but it was a great experience. Sure. And maybe for another 20, it was like, been there, done that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But all I know is that we have a WhatsApp group because, again, like this thing, this very personal engagement with me is like I created not only a single WhatsApp group for each workshop. So I've done 10 workshops. So with 10 artists in each, so I've had each of them, and then I created the mega group. The mega group is 100 artists that share ideas on a not a daily basis or weekly basis. I receive messages from this group every day. It's very active. Yesterday we spoke about someone who was doing another workshop in the south of France, and 2 of the participants went there. So they were sharing their experience, how it was. Some people, they were doing like, oh, I just did my course about design. They send it on that. So it's creating a community with these artists. Right now it's only 100 people. I'd like this community to grow one day, maybe to go to 1,000, 10,000. I don't know, like how we can make this real collective community that shares a common interest, a goal, and how we can elevate by sharing ideas and so on. So amazing. The workshops or an entity on their own, the online course is something else. The online course right now is only focused onto stenciling. As I said, the workshops are focused onto a lot more than just that. So the workshops are something on their own. The online course is another thing. The idea of creating.
What are your thoughts on? I think that first of all, the idea of tattoo education alone has been a taboo topic, let's say. And then I think a lot of tattoo artists feel that at a certain point, you cannot learn online. Like it has to be in person. I'm curious, what are your thoughts? Where is that line? Is that line a real line? Could you learn everything on the internet? What is your opinion on that?
So I think it has few folds to this answer. First of all, who are these artists who say that, and in what way do they know what you can or cannot learn online? It's as you said yourself before, based on what? Based on your own experience, based on all your own limitation, based on, who are you to say that you can do or cannot do? I think we have to welcome everything with an open mind and an open heart and just let it be. Everyone is just doing their thing. Stop minding someone else's business in a certain way. Focus on you. If you think you can't work, you can study online, don't study online. let the others study online. Like, like don't be the advocate of something that you think you have control over.
I think what I've seen in the tattoo industry is there is a fear. I think there's just a fear of more people becoming great tattoo artists.
And it's a fear.
And so they want to
fear.
perpetuate this idea that at the end of the day, you have to learn in person. It has to be a one-on-one apprenticeship is the only way to do it. But if you're really honest with yourself, where is the truth in that? There is no real truth in that. Is that a great way to learn a tattoo? Absolutely. It's probably the best way to learn a tattoo, but it's just not the truth.
Look, I've never done an apprenticeship. I got tattooed heavily, which was my apprenticeship. I believe this is the best apprenticeship, far more than an apprenticeship on its own. Get heavily tattooed. Like I was 25, that's it. I had no space anymore, like I don't want to tattoo my hand or my neck. So that's it, I'm full, so, and that was on the first few years, and everything was centered around getting tattooed so I could get the information. But I didn't do an apprenticeship. I don't believe personally, from what I have seen in the tattoo industry and most of the apprenticeship and some of the experience, I'm not saying all are the same. Again, you can't put everything on the same basket. But some apprenticeship are doing way more damage, and they're just teaching you how to repeat the same mistakes than an old guy that is getting a little bit more like cranky and moody about everything is going to tell you what to do and what not to do. I don't like being told what to do. I never liked it at school already. So why would I get into an apprenticeship? What I loved about tattooing was to do my own thing, make my own mistakes. Did I do more mistakes than if I had been in an apprenticeship? Probably yes. Do I love all the mistakes I've done? Undeniably, yes. Did it make me the artist I am today? Yes, and then again, I'm not saying apprenticeships are good or bad. I'm not saying that you should or should not learn online. I'm just saying do what you feel. That's it. If you're a young tattoo artist, you want to get into tattooing, you want to do all the online course available out there, and you want to learn like that, more power to you. If you want to go to your local tattoo shop to do an apprenticeship, more power to you. And then when it comes from the people who are criticizing what you should or should not do, just mind your own business. You are not entitled to protect an industry. You don't know what is the right thing for this industry. No one knows. I think
people take it personally when it's just simply not personal.
Look, I believe, and it's on my own perspective. First of all, I'm new in the online course business or thing. I don't know if it's going to be successful. Right now, it just dropped. It's not it's just the beginning, all right? So I don't know if it's going to be successful or not. I know that the workshops were highly successful. All of them got booked or overbooked. I refused more people for the last workshop than I could take because it's only 10% per workshop. So they are extremely successful. I will be doing more workshops at the end of this year, not focus on stenciling because that's done and you will be able to learn from that from the online course, but about the designing part of the process and the conceptualizing, the relationship with the clients and so forth. That will be new workshops. Will start at the end of the year. I know they will be full. And I know there will be probably a lot of excitement toward doing that because people want to have this one-on-one private experience. They want to meet the other artists. And I think it's fantastic. That's why I love workshops so much.
I'm going to get right back to this episode, but I just wanted to take a moment to speak to anyone that's feeling a little stuck right now in their tattoo business. Maybe you've noticed things have been slowing down a bit. Maybe things are pretty dead out there. I've talked to hundreds of tattooers who are experiencing that right now. A lot of changes have happened in the tattoo industry, and we either adapt with those changes, we learn how to grow in a saturated market, or we get left behind. And for anyone that is interested in actually having a marketing strategy conversation one-on-one with me, there is a link in the show notes with more details on how to schedule a call so that we can get you clear on what your next action is in helping you book more appointments consistently. So whether that is me giving you an assignment to do on your own, or we want to talk about what it looks like to continue to work together, either way, you're going to get the clarity that you need to take the next action in your business. So check that out. I do charge a small amount for these appointments, but like I said, even if it helps you book just one appointment, it will be worth your time, energy, and money. And I look forward to getting to chat with you. So check that link out in the show notes, and let's get back to this episode.
What is the online version doing more than the workshops? Personally, I believe that when it comes to this online course about stenciling, or the next online course that I want to do next year about the designing, the ability to watch and rewatch the course. If you're in the middle of a stencil and you're struggling because you have to do a neck wraparound, a form wraparound, or maybe at that point of your career when you are actually buying the course, you are not, you don't have to do a form wraparound. But 6 months later, a year later, you just want to refresh your memory and you want to remember how it was done. That's the beauty of the online course, being able to rewatch it, and not only to rewatch it, but to actually practice placing the stencil on your client, your friends, or your coworker, while putting your iPad on the side and watching it. I believe that's a great, great value added that we don't have in the workshop. The power to have both the practice and the learning at the same time.
Sure.
So that's one. Number two, it just gives you more angles. When we film, sometimes we have 3 cameras, a close-up, a wide angle, this angle, that angle. When you do the workshop and you're placing a shoulder or back of the legs or this and that,
right, you have to
I'm a big guy, like I'm 6.2, and then it's like I'm covering most of what I'm showing. So they are, you can see on the video on Instagram, you're like, so you can,
now,
and they record on their phone.
You're doing stenciling, you're doing designing. Do you ever plan on actually doing technical tattoo education?
Not yet. I believe this is not my thing.
Sure.
I personally, a lot of people are doing online course about the tattooing part.
Yeah.
How to start tattooing from zero to how to start tattooing.
Sure.
That's not my niche. My niche is to help already established tattoo artists who wants to better themselves and take their work to the next level. Placing a full neck wraparound, full forearm wraparound, a head, a back piece, chest piece, like doing like a full breast and full front on a woman with the neck and everything.
Yeah.
You're not gonna do this type of stencils if you start tattooing. So as a beginner, someone starting in tattooing, if you watch this course, is it gonna give you the upper hand and allow you to stencil things since the get-go that because everything that, but it's a large-scale stencil course. So will the information serve you in the future? And did I have an apprentice coming to the workshop and was it valuable for him? Yes, because all information is good. Yeah. Is it made for this niche of like young people starting in the industry? I don't believe so. I believe it's for already established tattoo artists who want to take their work to the next level.
I like that you found a specific problem in tattooing that it's a niche problem. And when you solve a niche problem, that is a difficult thing that not other people are solving. Like you said, other people are teaching whatever, beginning technical technique. You're solving unique problems for a certain type of tattooer at a certain point in their career. And where else are they going to be able to get that kind of education? And I'm saying this not just to point that out in you, but for anyone listening, because I believe that the future of online education for tattooing is about to explode. Like, I just see that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong or good or bad. That's just the truth. I've spoken to so many highly talented tattooers that are telling me they want to do what you're doing. They want to start an online education course, but again, they feel afraid of judgment. I'm not going to name names here or call anyone out, but I've spoken to several.
I'll tell you something. 2 things I'll tell you. First of all, in one of the workshops in November, an artist that is amazing and I love so much, we were having lunch together, and he said, dude, you're not afraid of what people are going to think about, the course or the workshops? And, because he's working in a big shop in LA. He's like, because let me tell you, they really talk shit on you, they're really not happy about what you're doing and so forth. It's like, man, don't you think I know what they think? I'm aware of it. I've been aware of it for forever, but another thing that I wanted to add is that there's one thing that is undeniable in the world is that you can't be liked by everyone. That's it. Even Buddha is not liked by everyone. There's a lot of people who will criticize, or Jesus, or anyone.
Yeah, there were some people
can't-
that didn't like Jesus, I think. There was a couple people
There's still a lot of-
I think they did something to him, they hurt him or something because they didn't like him.
But a lot of people are still, talking about him and his wisdom and his courage in such a beautiful way. And you can't be liked by anyone, by everyone. By anyone you can't be liked, but by everyone you can't. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you're gonna, help yourself and help others.
It's
But,
liberating.
it's liberating.
I
And
felt
at
the
the
exact same thing when I started doing my education. I knew tattoo artists are going to hate what I'm doing, and I'm going to help. I'm even going to save some people's lives in teaching the education I teach. I'm going to change lives, and I believe the work that you're doing just from this interaction. I know that spending time with you and seeing how you do things is going to change someone's trajectory of their whole career. And if the price I have to pay is having people don't like me on the other side of the fucking planet and people leaving nasty comments, if that's the price I have to pay to make the impact I want to make, I'll pay that all day long.
Yeah, and it's also, so I'm not gonna say it was easy. I come from one of my biggest childhood trauma is judgment, is criticism. So
Me too.
that's why I said this online course was the most spiritual thing I had to do so far, and I've been doing a lot of inner work over the last 4 years that have helped me. I do a lot of retreats a year. I studied somatic healing, psychology, therapy. So it's tattooing is going to become take less and less space in my life to a point where probably in the next year or so, I'm going to stop tattooing, which I've already started. I don't accept new clients anymore just because I have a lot of clients that are ongoing and because I just want to stop. I want to focus, as I said, on art pieces. I want to focus on more educational. I want to focus on to making a bigger difference than what I've been doing with tattooing. Not to say that, again, I think it goes down to, and this is also to sum up with or close your answer, your question at the beginning was like, why did I do this course? Why did I do this course? And why do I want to do more courses? It's the closure of a career that I started 12 years ago. And that is giving you everything. My goal is to give you everything I know about tattooing, about how I've done what I've done, so then I don't have to do it anymore. And then you, meaning the artists around the world, can do it for me. And this is my legacy. Personally, this is my legacy. By giving you everything I know, two things. I remove all of that information, that knowledge that I carry inside of me. I move it outside. I move it on a digital form, on the computer, something you can store, so forth. And I remove it from myself. So then I can welcome new information. Because at some point you just saturate with information. That's my somewhat of the way I see it. I want to give all of this information away so then other people can do what in many cases, and if you're going to watch the online course, you will know, a lot of people consider impossible. Like, again, throughout my career, countless artists ask me, how do you do it? And still in the workshop, though, traveling, in the workshop, 88 cities and 24 countries came to the workshop, came to Portugal.
Wow.
People from all over the world, people from Hawaii, from Hong Kong, from someone had never left the state of Utah. He never left the state. And he came all the way to Portugal. Some people never left the state, the United States. They came to Europe. Someone never left Dominican Republic and came to Europe for the first time. I don't know, maybe they left Dominican, but they never came to Europe.
Yeah.
And they're coming back for my next workshop. So my point is, I lost my point, but my point
But there's
was,
someone who's judging you in LA. Some tattoo artist is judging you in LA.
Exactly. But thank you for judging me because, it just helps you see something about yourself. And for me, it's all about that. It helps you see something about yourself.
Yeah.
And whether you want to learn from it or not, this is not my goal, my mission. My mission
Judgment is
to
always
help.
a confession. When you judge
Sorry, what?
someone, a judgment is always a confession. They're confessing something
it's a
about
we
themselves, whether they
are
want
all
to admit it
mirrors.
or not. But yeah.
Yeah, we are all mirrors, you know, like
Yeah.
I reflect something that makes you, you know, reflect on yourself, and then you're going to be like, okay, some people will have the step back or the awareness to, okay, where is that coming from? But personally, if you have an artist saying, as you said yourself, you can't share information, we have to keep it private, we have to protect the tree, we have to do an apprenticeship and not keep on this one-on-one thing, you are limiting. You're limiting tattooing. It's my opinion. But the more people know, the more people grow. That's it. Now, some people say, oh yeah, but you cannot know who, in whose hand this information is going to land. And maybe some people are not going to use it for this and that. Yes, maybe if you teach people how to start tattooing, it's not going to maybe land. Someone will say, oh yeah, but there are so kids now at 14 years old, they start tattooing themselves. First of all, they always did. That's it. They always did. They always tattooed themselves. And as I said, I started tattooing in the worst conditions possible. Like my first tattoo was done with a single needle. I thought that was the needle to use because there was no information out there.
Start with one,
the machine
right?
I was using, the machine I was using, bought on eBay because you couldn't buy tattoo machines as a non-professional.
Yeah.
I used the wrong ink, the wrong everything. And luckily, the tattoo was on my mom, and she still loves me, I promise. And the second one tattoo was on myself. It's actually here. I still have it. The third was on my mom. The fourth was on myself. The fifth was on my brother. The sixth was on my older brother, and so on. And we still love each other. But the thing is, I've done everything wrong. Like, I can guarantee you, I've done everything wrong. Did it stop me from doing it? No. Would I have benefited from having the information and would I have not done the mistakes? Yes. Did I want to do an apprenticeship back then? No. Would I have done an apprenticeship? No. I was studying graphic design and art, and I had no intention of getting into a tattoo shops to do an apprenticeship because that was my journey. I needed to learn from Photoshop, from the computer, which is what allowed me to do the design I do today. And now to teach people, you know, because I have a background in graphic design, so people, a lot of them are interested into how I conceptualize, how I create, how I use Photoshop, you know, in order to create my work. So if I had not done that, I couldn't do both. You know, I had to do 4 years of graphic design and 4 years of apprenticeship, and that was not my path. And again, when I got tattooed myself, I looked at it and I was like, well, that's not that complicated in the way I see it, you know. And then the more I got tattooed, the more I could see how they were doing it, the more I could do it also. Did it stop me? No. More information out there. Would it help other artists, young kids to do a better job? Probably yes. But again, I'm not advocating, like, how do you call it, apprenticeship or apprenticeship. I'm advocating do what you want and do it with so much passion, so much love, and the desire to better yourself every day. Because, you know, of course, and this is the biggest lesson I think we have to really anchor in our mind is like, just do it with the intention to get better every time. If you just do it for fun, if you just tattoo your friends out of fun and you're like, maybe it will change, because I can't say that because I also tattooed for fun and I look where I am today. I'm teaching people, so we never know. We never know. Just do what you want. Do it with your full attention, care, and for all of the others who are criticizing, just reflect on yourself and see why you don't want the information to be available. And I think I have a little idea of why. It's just because it's fear. It's a fear-based concept that if more people know how to do it, then they will take business away from me. And I understand there is a crisis in the world, financial, and people are struggling. And it's true that I've seen it change. Even me, I've been tattooing for 12 years. I've seen the change. So imagine someone who's been tattooing 30 years and who really, really struggled. They've paved the road we're walking on. And they really struggled to get everything legalized, formalized, like to get all of that information that was so hard for them to get. So I understand that it's hard pill for them to swallow. They had to build their needles, build their tattoo machines. There was no internet, there was no social media. It was hard and they struggled. And now they see that everything becomes so easy. And on top of being so easy, it becomes oversaturated because there's new artists popping up at every corner all the time. So I understand that it's complicated and it's not easy. But I also at some point, and this is what I believe, and take it with a pinch of salt, and again, I don't know how it's going to be taken, and I have to be careful of what I'm going to say, but get out while it's still time. Like the world is changing, the society is changing. If you're struggling, find something else that makes you feel passionate about and reinvent yourself. Like for me, tattooing, I know it's always been a part of my career. Am I attached to it? Not at all. Do I love what I've created? Do I love my portfolio? Do I have a lot of appreciation for all of my clients, first for my work and then for all of my clients? I couldn't have dreamt of a better career. Am I okay to give it away tomorrow? 100%. I'm not attached to it. Do I know that I can reinvent myself? Undeniably. Tomorrow I get into the education business, I will just go to the end of it. If I want to get into art, I will get to the end of it. Just find something that really moves you, passionates you. If, again, tattooing is not doing it anymore, or because life is pushing you to do something else, because this is the reality, you can't change your external reality. What you can change is what you do with it, So I see so many artists that are in their 50s and their work is declining, and they are legends in tattooing. But you can sustain it at some point, it's hard on the wrist, on the body, on the focus, on the eyes. Stop, it's not only you're not doing a service to yourself, but you're not doing a service to your clients because you're not giving the best of yourself anymore. And okay, you have this thing where, and I'm not going to name things, but yeah, I mean, there are some legends, like if tomorrow Leo Zulieta would tattoo me and if he doesn't see anything and he's just tattoos just across, I would love that. And there is the meaning for that. And then at some point you will tattoo artists. And yes, but in terms of quality of the work itself, at some point it's very hard to sustain. So if you don't find, it's like, I don't know, like I don't watch sports, but I can imagine as football players or rugby player or tennis player, at some point you just have to give up because you just are not at the top of your game. But you have to realize that there is another human being on the other side, that you're not giving yourself fully to them. But at the same time, the other human being knows exactly what they're getting into because they're getting tattooed by that person. So again, everything works out perfectly. But just mind your own business. If you want to keep tattooing, keep tattooing. If you want to stop tattooing, stop tattooing. But don't stop the progress because the progress is inevitable. Whether you are on the train or out of the train is going to pass.
Nothing can stop progress.
Nothing can stop progress. And
you can resist it, but nothing can stop it.
Yeah. And this is, again, as you said at the beginning, is this dualism between, there is goods and there is bads. Yes. Is it maybe we are losing the soul element, the hardship of getting the information, the smell of the tattoo shop and this and that. Maybe we're losing that if you learn online. For sure we are. But are you getting something out of it that you wouldn't get? Like I had an integration call for my online course yesterday with an artist from the UK. And he was like, man, I started tattooing 14 years ago and I wish I dreamt to have this information when I started tattooing. Like my mentor he was doing an apprenticeship, so it's like my mentor pushed me to do a shoulder mandala. And he spent 4 hours trying to redraw it, and he was like, he told me, I wish I could teleport myself back in time with the information I have today and show my teacher how I knew how to do it, because the teacher didn't know how to do it because it was only him, in the shop, and then he said I did it very not great. It's not perfect. What he said is like, you are teaching us how to make it look so perfect and seamless and reconnect and make it look like it's impossible otherwise. Like, again, the whole part of this online course about the stencil is that you have excess of paper. Every tattoo artist that is doing large-scale stencil knows that if you want to fit onto a curved body part, you will have excess of paper. What to do with this excess of paper?
Right.
This is what I teach you during the course, is trying to find these little tweaks that makes it possible to do what is technically impossible. And that came from 12 years of experience, and that came because I wanted to get to the bottom of that. And that is probably something that you never figure out yourself, because this is the biggest takeaway that people are telling me during the workshop is like, why have I never thought about that? That's what they were telling me, is like, why in the hell did I not think about this thing?
I hear that all the time, even with marketing and with finance. There's so many things that are just in your blind spot.
Yeah.
And you don't know,
and sometimes
until someone
so
reflects
simple.
it back to you.
Yeah, and it's so simple, but you didn't click it.
Yeah.
And then that person yesterday I had the call with said, people in my shop, they mocked me because they said like, oh, you just bought an online course about the stencil process and you paid for an online course about the stencil process. But he said like, but he told them, but without a good stencil, there's no good tattoo. Everything starts with the stencil. So ultimately, the stencil part is the most important part of the process. That is how you lay the foundation of a good tattoo. Because you can have a great design, but you off-center it or make it look not, right on the body. It's not gonna look. You can have the most beautiful design if it is placed off or not correctly. It's not gonna look nice. Point. So.
Yeah.
If you learn how to place the right stencil, and that's why I've put so much energy. That's why I've been conceptualized this project for so many years. Again, I would like, as I said at the beginning, it would be nice to generate passive income, so then I can do other projects that are artistic. But that's not my real intention. My real intention is I love what I do. In terms of stencil, that's my favorite part of the process.
It's
it has
art
always
in
been
and
my
of itself.
Part.
It's an art form,
100%. And I love it so much that I would like to have other artists knowing how to do it, because that's what I love so much.
Yeah.
And then designing is another thing, and then relationship with the client is another thing. So I believe the course will be that.
Yeah.
For now, as I said to you, I don't think my mission will be to teach people how to start tattooing. That's not where I want to go.
Sure.
But I want to help artists, bring their work to the next level. And that is my passion, and this is what I want to do. More than, again, the passive income, more than just it's the human connection and seeing in their eyes, the eyes of the people that are coming to the workshops. And hopefully I won't be able to see the eyes of the people watching the online course behind the screen. But it's this wow, wow, it's just going to help me do things I didn't know were possible. And I can guarantee you...
Speaking of online courses, I have a course that I have to go lead.
Yes, sounds great.
I have some people waiting, so... but I want to just, for anyone that's interested in learning more about you and your work, Black-Symmetry on Instagram, right?
Yeah, blacksymmetry.com and Black-Symmetry on Instagram.
Amazing.
And on everywhere. Just type Black-Symmetry, YouTube, Instagram.
And if anyone has questions for you, should they shoot you a DM or email? What's the best way to reach out?
Lately, DMs. Like emails through the website, there's a contact form. Depends what it's for. Like if it's for tattooing, you can shoot an email.
But you're not taking tattoo clients, right?
Exactly. So I was about to say that. So
amazing.
Yes, but if you want to know about the course or so on, but also just check the website. There's so much information there. Such a great work was done by my web designers. So take a look and Instagram if you have a message or a question.
Amazing. Lewis, thank you for sharing your experience, your knowledge, wisdom. I think there are people that want to learn more about tattooing that are going to benefit from hearing what you have to say about that. And I think there are people that they themselves have a gift to share with other tattoo artists, and that fear that we've both experienced in wanting to be an educator in an industry that seems to frown upon education. maybe they will move past that fear and grow tattooing as a whole because of it. So thank you. Thanks again.
Yeah, I encourage any artist out there who has somewhat of a desire to do workshops, or it's a beautiful, beautiful experience. Sharing what you know has been like one of the greatest gifts of my life. So I love that, and I can only encourage them to do that. And the more you share, the better it is for the growth of tattooing. So yeah, thank you for your time and for listening, and let's stay in touch.
All right, if you found this episode helpful, one of the best ways for you to help other artists is to share this episode. Leave a review and subscribe. It helps other people find my channel, and you never know what a difference it might make for someone else. Plus, I will forever be grateful for your support, so I just want to say thank you and have a great rest of your day.